With the recent surge in many cryptocurrencies breaking to new all-time highs on the back of mega news, many are wondering, is now too late to be buying these cryptocurrencies? So in today's video, we're going to look at some of these cryptos on the charts and identify points that you want to look out for so that you're not buying in at the extremes of the move. Welcome back, everyone. It's Jason with your Hopium-free crypto update. Now, if you stick around to the end of the video, I'll also show you one of the charts that I like the look of, which I haven't heard much about in the hype of YouTube at the moment. So without further ado, make sure you've hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, bell notification icon, click all so you see the videos pop up in your feed, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you want more updates. Now, let's dive into today's video. As I've got something around the title of pay attention to these altcoins crypto price, we're going to look at some of these on the chart. So we've got AVAX, Atom, and there is one of the special ones that I want to look at the end of the video. But first, we're going to get into some of the news and then discuss, is it too late? And what about the weak versus the strong? It's been a big piece that I've looked at on the channel here. First, we have fear and greed sitting at 53, neutral. Yesterday was neutral, last week was fearful, and last month was greedy. So we're all over the place at the moment, but it looks like we're on a reasonable trend of up and up. So more people are getting greedy into this market. Possibly some more shakeouts to come. We definitely need that just to keep the health of the market and the longevity of it. If it goes straight up in the green, then we tend to come back pretty hard as well. What goes up in a vertical generally comes down in a vertical. The market cap is at 2.15 trillion today. We had a little bit of a pullback across many of the cryptos except for Avalanche, which of course is why it's in all of the headlines today. And I want to show you on the charts what to look out for there. And some of the others are Cosmos, which I've talked about on Twitter, giving that alert many days ago, and also on my Patreon. So you can check us out there. We've got 31 left of the 100 for the 49 per month. Check it out. Link is down below to learn more about crypto trading and investing, and of course, Twitter as well. So let's crack on with some of the news. And I just want to cover the headlines here and give us an idea of the sentiment that is going into the next stage of the market. The big one that we continue to see come up time and time again is ETFs. So Bitcoin ETFs, there's no less than 4 or 8 that there's a lot of companies looking to put in ETFs. And I found about 3 just from the news articles today. Fidelity is one. They're just pushing the SEC. There's nothing else really in this news article to tell us anything more. So they're trying to push. Goldman Sachs is trying to push. And we also have another company here, Van Eck, is also trying to push. And then also Bitwise files for a Bitcoin futures ETF. So there are a lot of them. There's 4 I already found this morning, and I think it's just going to keep going and more push to the SEC to get one of these listed, which of course might be a catalyst for Bitcoin sometime later this year or early next year as well. Update on Solana. It sputters back to life following the downtime. So if you were unaware, Solana went down. We saw the prices drop. Solana was down for about 7 days in the price, that is. But overall, in terms of the blockchain, it was restarted and it was down for about nearly 18 hours, they're saying here. So it's coming back online. No, it's not completely decentralized, which is why they've reset it. It got absolutely hammered with transactions and it reached at about 400,000 transactions per second. And that was to do with some IDOs and other projects that were going on things like Radium. So that came from the CEO himself. So Solana's back on. That's good news. The market looks like it should get some sort of relief rally at this point in time. The low at the moment was about 152. Moving on to some of the other projects which I cover a lot of on the channel. Crypto.com, another sports sponsorship. The spree continues here. So they're in with esports team Fnatic. The 5-year alliance is worth more than 15 million and follows deals with Formula One. Love that. I love seeing that every time I watch the Formula One on the weekend and I see crypto.com there. It's so cool to be invested in something and you're sort of seeing it in another sport that you love. Maybe I've married myself to crypto.com. UFC. So maybe you're a UFC fan. You'll see crypto.com there as well. Plus they have many other areas. Now the rest of this article goes on to talk about other cryptocurrencies which are doing this, getting themselves involved in areas which are not traditionally crypto, which is what you want if you want to get adoption. You just don't want to be advertising to the same people over and over again. So you got things like FTX. I talk about FTT a lot on the channel. We don't need to go over that again. They've partnered with a lot of different players in the sports space and esports as well. And speaking of getting cryptocurrencies across to the masses, we also see Audius push into the music scene, that's where they are. But now we have the big names investing, plowing $5 million into the music streaming platform Audius. We've got Katy Perry, Chainsmokers, Pusha, and I also saw Jason Derulo. So they are all putting money into Audius right now. I'm not saying to put money into Audius. I'm just saying Jason Derulo. Avalanche is going to be one of the cryptos we look at on the charts, and they have pushed to new all-time highs again. Avalanche breaks all-time highs on news of $230 million raise. So it is a lot of money coming through to cryptocurrency. Polychain Capital and 3 Arrows Capital. Go follow 3 Arrows on Twitter and their CEOs, founders. They put out a lot of good information. If you're wanting to find other ways to get a source of good crypto information, that's a good place to look at it. And while you're over there, follow us on Twitter as well. But first, DeFi tokens are moving. Curve talked about this one with the Patreon group. So if you are not subscribed, if you want to know more about trading cryptocurrencies and investing in crypto, check out Patreon. Link is down below. I talked about this especially because of the chart patterns that were coming up. Aave and SushiSwap also look good. That'll lead us into something in the charts in just a moment. And of course, go to DeFi Pulse to look at how much is actually being staked over here, how much is locked up in DeFi. 92 billion. It's at all-time highs. Last time I saw this on the chart, but it looks like there's a problem on the side at the moment. Aave, Curve, Sushi, Uniswap's also building up. There is a lot going on here, and Aave now takes #1 spot from Maker, and Curve has definitely pushed its way into that top 3. Let's look at these charts. AVAX, Avalanche, back from 2020, late 2020, into that first peak of $60 in February. Now, all of that happened within about 6 weeks. You can see this is the end of December, the last week of December, into the first week, second week, just the 10th of February. Call it about 7 weeks, give or take, right? Then what happened from that point is the market came crashing down, and it stayed down for a very, very long time. The peak was February, guys, okay? It wasn't a peak in May like everything else got. It was a peak in February. Now, the market came all the way back down into July. So that was nearly 6 months. If I take a measure from the top to the absolute bottom, that was about 160 days. So about 5.5 months until your money started really moving again. You would have seen it at about $10 and then probably got excited as it went to 13 or 15. And then we got the explosive move from August. That was about 188 days, about 190. So just over 6 months before the explosive move started again. Keep that in mind if you are looking to be purchasing these cryptos as they shoot up faster and faster. Might not be so lucky next time that it's 6 months down. It might be a lot longer. It might be a lot shorter. The point that I'm making here is, even though that we are seeing it across multiple YouTube sites at the moment, it is prudent to just remember what these sorts of moves do. Now, the other question I wanted to answer is, are we too late? So, are we too late? I don't think we're too late, depending on our timeframes. If we look at our timeframes and we look further out to 3 years or 5 years and we believe in the fundamentals, then sure, buying at $60 might not be that big of a deal, because maybe AVAX goes to $600 and it's a 10x and it doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things if it was down for a year. But one thing I want to note, and I'll use Bitcoin as an example here, is if we start to see these sorts of moves, measure the length of it. Measure the length of each move. So we got up, we got this much range, and then down. And you can just almost see this with the naked eye. That's almost very similar, and then similar. But then, shorter move up, another short move up, and then the correction. Okay, so going back to Avalanche here, we're starting to see big moves and then corrections. Now, if this turns into a shorter move, you can bet your bottom dollar that there would possibly be another short move. And again, the only way that this wouldn't happen is if we had a longer accumulation at the highs. That would be a very good sign to then take off for a bigger move. So we just need to understand what the probabilities are moving forward. And if things shoot straight up like it did back in February, January, February, then it's highly likely that it's going to come back and then come back and retest some of this zone here. So are we too late? It's going to depend on your time frame, your outlook. Are you only here for 20% gains up to maybe $80 or $100 looking for 40% gains? Personally, that's not my game in crypto. I'm not here just for 20 or 40%. I want to get hundreds of percent, if not thousands of percent. So that is something that I definitely keep an eye on, are these runs. If we get a really sharp move up, maybe we need some resting period. We get a sharp move up, that might be the last sharp move that we get. The rocket's taken off, and then we have to come back to earth and reload before we start to move again. So looking at the chart pattern in closer detail, we have a big, strong, sharp move up here from about $2 or $3 up to about 15. And then we didn't get the massive correction. We had consolidation before the next move. So currently where we are is at new all-time highs. That's not a bad thing. It's okay to be buying things in all-time highs. It's a breakout move. But what you want to see is this pattern, and obviously not such a big correction. If we get the correction lower into previous zones, then it just means that we're going to need more time in a consolidation period before we can take off again, because you're basically measuring this move and it's become shorter. If it was to stop here, that's what you don't want to see. All right, so you want to see the consolidation before the next move, get in on that breakout. That is a stronger looking cryptocurrency. So now that I've explained that on Avalanche, it's going to be a similar pattern on the rest of these cryptos. So we've seen Cosmos or Atom. I've talked about this on Twitter and of course on Patreon. Links are all down below. You can see this big move up, and then the moves became shorter and shorter. And that might feel like a great move in your portfolio, going from $16 to $30, $32, 100%. But in the grand scheme of things, that's not the move that we wanted to be on. We didn't want to be on this move. We can see that in hindsight. We wanted to be on this move. So that's what we need to pay attention to now. Is this move that we're currently seeing, is it this? Or is it that? What is it going to be? So keep in mind when you're moving forward, just to see what happens next. What comes next? Do we get some consolidation? Do you want to start to take profits underneath some of these support levels? That's the sort of thing I'll be looking for in case this doesn't hold up. For the short time being, maybe Bitcoin craps itself and we have to reset and start again. That's the things that I'm looking for here. If we get that nice consolidation, give us some rest period, then we take off again, we're looking sweet. That's exactly what we want to see. Now over to DOT, and we're currently sitting at $36. The low was at around $10.30. And you're probably wondering, why weren't we buying the dip? Why aren't we buying DOT at the lows? Because we're looking at stronger horses, things like Solana. And if you have limited funds and you can't spread it across everything, you want to be in the strongest thing. Solana was the stronger horse at that point in time, buying in at $22 to $35-ish on the breakouts, getting us all the way up to $200. And if you're following the channel, I was looking at an exit of around $160. So I posted about that on Twitter as well. But back to DOT, yes, it is up. It is up about 3 times from its low, $10 to $36. So 220%. That's okay. We've got some profits from Solana. We've got some profits from the stronger horses, which ran first and left these in the dead. So at the moment for Solana, it's stronger. It's holding above its 50% on the fib extension. It's holding above its bear market, 50%. And it's holding above its major 50%, which was that $25 area. Now, it has gone on a pretty solid run. It's had a few waves up now. Maybe it's coming towards its end. Maybe it's going to consolidate. The point is, we're in a stronger position. We have some profits from Solana. If you don't have any profits, I'm sorry, but we can continue to look at future trades. And I'm trying to put that nicely because you want to be getting on the strong things rather than waiting and hoping and following what everyone else is doing with all of the hopium. So this could be a good setup moving forward, provided, again, Bitcoin doesn't crap itself and we don't fall back into the weaker zones. And the weaker zones are underneath the 50% level. So here's a 50, here's a 50, here's a 50. We've managed to break through all of these, and looks like we're potentially consolidating at this zone now. And you can see each 50, it had a reaction off the 50, had a reaction off the 50 here, had a reaction off that 50. And then it comes back and sits on them as support. So they're working very well for DOT. And at the moment, I do like DOT as a setup, even if we get a correction back. You know, we're still sitting, as long as I'm still sitting above the major 50%, I'm pretty happy. That $25, $26. Not saying you can get there, but that has the potential if this is the last legs of the move. Thinking of before when we're talking about AVAX, a big move up, another move up, and then it just gets a little weaker and weaker. So one, we want to see consolidation for the move up, or two, back, consolidate, and then the move up. They're the options that I'm looking for a positive outcome for a DOT trade. So last thing is the charts that I like the look of. Now I'm going to leave this one for another video, but this is the one I'm liking the look of at the moment. Remember to choose wisely if you have limited funds. I've looked at AVAX today, briefly looked at DOT and Atom and FTT. We talked about weak or strong, looking at the timing as well, because if you have limited funds, you got to know where you want to put them and when. You can't just go around and saying, I'm going to buy everything in the top 50 or the top 100, because some of it doesn't move and your funds are better off in other places. And are we too late? We've looked at that today. So sushi is what I want to look at next. Sushi BTC, it has broken through the tops here. So let's get our drawing tool. There's a top, we're up there. If we fall back down, that is fine. 50% is at around that 27,000 Satoshis. There should be an extra zero here. That falls back, no problems. We should be hopefully holding some support above those previous levels, consolidating for the next move. Sushi USDT, again, is trying its hardest. You can see here, look at the 50s, how well they work. There's the bear market correction, the bull market correction, the bear market drop here. The market came back, hit 50% before that was even, well, it was there because we had the top, the bottom. That's how you draw in your 50%, smack on 50%. Retrace, it's tried it again, and it's potentially getting above that right now. So this is in a reasonable setup, provided we hold these levels. So around $14, and of course, I don't want to see it go lower than around 12, and at the very worst, this level here, which is at about 950, because that is your higher lows. You got a low in here in June, and then a low in mid-July, and now we got another low in early September. So you just want to keep seeing higher lows. If the lows start to break down, then that is considered a downtrend. But for now, that is the chart that I like the look of. I want to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comments down below which cryptos are you liking the look of that have a setup like this. And you may be able to spot which one I'm talking about. It starts with an A, and I have spoken about it in today's video. Drop it down below, the ones you like the look of. The ones that people generally talk about in the comments are stuff that have boomed and have gone straight up. And they're still talking about it at the tops, and they start to fall and say, oh, it's cheap now. Oh, it's cheap now. Oh, it's coming back. Oh, it's cheap now. And then they just get absolutely crushed, and their souls are destroyed, and they can't come back for the next crypto bull market. So that's why I look at the timing, and I want to get on the strong stuff. Let me hear from you guys which crypto you're liking the look of that is in a good looking setup. Drop it down below. See if everyone can jump on it. You can shill your own coins down there. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter. Patreon link is down below if you want to learn more about trading cryptos and investing for a long-term healthy portfolio. I'll see you guys at the next video. Until then, have more fun to get more done.